AI obviously has been the topic of the day in every industry and in every corner of life, and it's only heating up more rapidly as we close out 2024 and we move into 2025. Both at Women of Power and at Black Men Excel over the last couple of years, we've been making that a subject topic because this is not just about, the latest app or the new tool. This is literally transforming the way we live and work, and it's critical for people in general and African Americans in particular and Black business people and professionals to be not only on top of the curve, but we got to do our best to get ahead of the curve. And right now we are playing catch up. Now, the good news is everybody's playing catch up. AI is so rapidly evolving that every day we're getting new revelations about what that means and what it's going to mean in terms of both challenges and threats to the way we live and pursue our careers. This session is designed really in two parts. One, a conversation that I'll be having with a member of our partners, Accenture, who has been with Black Enterprise every step of the way to try to get this conversation going in our spaces, in Black communities, and particularly in Black business communities. So we're going to have a great fireside chat to kind of talk about, to frame what's at stake, both in terms of opportunities as well as understanding what's going on around us. Then we're going to have a really practical take-home work that you're going to need to do workshop delivered by what I know to be the top expert on what AI is going to mean for your work life, for your career, and what you should be doing, tools you should be using to really make sure this is a competitive advantage for you as you pursue your career. Are we here for it? So first, give me the great round of applause to Mark Thomas, who's Managing Director at Accenture. Have a seat, brother. So, Mark, let's start this by giving you a framework on two levels. One, why Accenture has made this a priority in terms of your engagement with the Black business community and then a priority for your company. And two, what it is that makes this, you were very enthusiastic about wanting to be at this event to talk about this, how that plays into what you do at and for Accenture.
I think number one, Accenture, obviously as a public company, we've made tremendous investments in how we actually serve our customers. And again, with Gen AI being the next watershed event, right? If you can think about, to me, the equivalent of Gen AI is the equivalent of the information superhighway. There's a whole lot of us that remember that term, right? It's kind of the new framework for the internet, which is now over 30 years old. Well, this is the next big framework, and Accenture's job is to stay ahead of the game so that we can bring these ideas to our clients to help them to operate more efficiently, help them serve up information that they can incorporate into their everyday lives. The reason why I'm here is because of Accenture's commitment to our sponsorship, to our Black professionals. And I can tell you right now, we're getting a lot of demand from our customers wanting to know how to incorporate the use of Gen AI into their business, into their everyday lives. The one thing I'm not seeing when I'm having these conversations are people who look like you and me, right? And that's something that's got to change. As far as how I incorporate this into my everyday business, so in my role at Accenture, I'm one of two, and my other colleague is here, senior most Black SAP executives in North America for Accenture. Okay? And in that capacity, I'm in the technology space. I've been in the technology space for over 30 years. And our clients are always looking for Accenture to bring them forward, right? Not for us to sit around and wait for the client to say, hey, we want to do this. Our job is to bring this to our clients and to help them to incorporate this into their business, right? And to bring value to their customers, right? And so for me, right, it's all about educating myself on Gen AI. I literally myself have begun to kind of see the value in Gen AI over the past 2 years. And I've rapidly started leveraging the use of the tools that are available to me. And by no stretch am I a data scientist, right? But I can tell you this, I've become a very avid, ardent user of Gen AI to make my own life easier, to educate myself, and to pass it on to my colleagues and to my clients.
You hit on a couple of points I want you to kind of underscore. First, because I think it also talks about the degree to which you can become more competitive. You really want to be the one who's proactive about self-educating yourself.
100%.
So you're bringing ideas to your client, even if your client is your employer.
Correct.
So this is not one where your boss is going to say, Mark, would you go learn some of this stuff and then tell me what you think? No, you need to be saying, no, I'm learning some of this
100%.
stuff, and here's the way we can apply it to our business.
100%.
So this idea of being proactive, when I think almost every other wave leading up into the information age, it was we responded to the demands on us
That's
as
correct.
professionals. This is one where we have to lean in. Would you say
Of
that's
course.
fair?
That's 100% fair, because typically, we wait to be invited to the party. In this case, we need to invite ourselves to the party, right? We have to lean in and self-educate. Those things can't necessarily happen during work hours. Those things happen for me during off hours, right? Number one, because I understand how important this is in terms of the next wave of technology and the demand that's going to come from it, right? But also to make sure that I'm part of the conversation, that I'm leading the conversation. Again, there's not enough folks who look like you and I that operate in the technology space that are leading, that are viewed as leaders in this space, right? Oftentimes enough, we go to our large client engagements. I serve some large global clients, and I may be the first one that's on site, and there's not an acknowledgement that I'm the HNIC, when in fact I am, right? And that's all well and good, but that's the perception until I open my mouth.
Well, George Fraser talked about the baseline is excellence, and then you want to hit extraordinary,
100%.
which means you want to stand out. One of the great things about this opportunity is if you already have a baseline of excellence, as you do in your organization, and then you say, but guess what I know? I'm bringing this skill set, this understanding, this expertise, this strategic understanding of AI to the equation. Now, you're not only the only brother in the room, you're the only person in the room who has an expertise that everybody else knows is in demand.
That's correct.
So this goes to this whole idea. And, so when we talked about how we put this session together, guys, Mark talked about, no, you don't wait to be invited to the party. What Cliff is going to be showing you is like, yeah, and you might want to make sure that you can be the DJ. You know enough not only to come to the party, but to kind of say what the playlist should be based on the skill set and the knowledge.
100%.
So talk to me a little bit about what you, as a professional, bring to the table, not only to Accenture as your home base, your home client, and then Accenture's clients.
Okay.
Because of your appreciation of how AI and how that does make you stand out in the marketplace.
So in my role as an SAP executive, the way that we're organized by capability groups. I run one of Accenture's capability groups within the SAP space. I own all of sourcing and procurement globally. I've been in the sourcing and procurement space for over 30 years. I have a perspective of what good looks like. I have a perspective on how we can now leverage and harness this new technology to help our clients to operate more efficiently, right? And so for me, this is an exciting opportunity because I consider myself the utmost top expert in the SAP sourcing and procurement space. And I have ideas as to how we can begin leveraging Gen AI to help our clients to realize the value that this can bring to their business and, more importantly, to their bottom line, right? Through serving up information, through increased automation, by making sure that users have a better experience in leveraging the technology to run their businesses, right? And when you've been in the space as long as myself and guys like my colleague Joe Ellibert, who's another supply chain professional, you have a perspective on how we can put these pieces together to the benefit of the clients that we serve.
So that said, so you're talking about client benefit. And of course, to the degree that you and your team, because it's not just you, can benefit your client, that also underscores your benefit to your company.
100%.
Because what we're talking about doing is trying to help you to understand AI, not necessarily just as we talk about, it's going to take away jobs, it's going to change the landscape, and jobs are going to go away, and new jobs are going to come. The cutting edge of this is to what degree you can leverage that skill set and understanding so that it's not just about whether you get to keep your job, but whether you stand out as someone who has an important skill set that companies are going to retain no matter what happens.
Remain relevant, 100%.
Oh, yes. Build on that a little bit.
So again, we talked before about this next wave of technology and how important it is, not that you become an expert in the space, but that you learn just enough to remain relevant. And will it end up, replacing human interaction? To some degree, yes. This is not robotics, right? It's about helping companies to operate leaner, right? The operative word being leaner. That means people go away, right? The manual tasks, some of the tasks that people are performing that are intellectual tasks will become obsolete because of the use of Gen AI, right? Gen AI is again, I'm going to ask a question, folks. Who ever heard of a character called Gazoo? Who's Gazoo?
Yeah. Okay, now we're showing our age. Gazoo. The great
Gazoo. All right, so
the rest of y'all young folks gotta
here's why
Google it.
Here's why I bring them up, though. If you think about how we incorporate the use of Gen AI, it's about leveraging it to boost your own persona, right? Gazoo was that cat that sat on Fred and Barney's shoulder and he would disappear and reappear, that had answers that they couldn't necessarily harness themselves. He's an extension of your own intellect, right? As you think about how you begin to use Gen AI, that's the purpose that it really should be designed to serve, helping to be an extension of your own, not intelligence, your own intellect, your ability to harness your intelligence, because you may know something or you may have ideas, but sometimes it's very difficult to organize your thoughts in a way that allows for you to paint a cogent story, right, for your customers. It can be simple, it can be complex, right? For example, I've got 13 what we call counselees. These are people whose performance reviews, whose careers I help manage, aside from the fact that I run a global team, right? I can't do reviews for 800 people, right? But I can help manage the people who I have responsibility for, their careers. Every year we go through this performance review process, and you're sitting here trying to pull together all the information that you've gotten from projects that they've been on, their sales numbers, right? Their learning accomplishments over the years, and then put together a story that you are now going to have to show up and tell on their behalf. It used to take me days sometimes to do this because I want to make sure that I can tell a good story about the person whom I'm representing to help them to continue to grow their career. This year, I was able to get those 13 reviews done in a day and a half, right? Because the Gen AI tools that we currently use, right, which is Copilot for the most part, are integrated into the applications that we use. In this particular case, Workday. So as I'm logging into Workday and I'm looking at all this data and all this information about my employees, including performance reviews that they've gotten from the projects that they've been on, this tool quickly helps to summarize that information, right, and serve it up to me so that I can now take that information and begin to organize it in a way that I need to use to tell a story. But even beyond that, I can just simply ask the tool, hey, I need you to organize this story into these 4 categories. Help break it down for me. And it'll give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different ways it can organize it. And now it's just simple for me to just choose it. Now, do I just copy and paste it? In some cases, I've been able to do just that. But in others, right, it at least made it easier for me, right, to edit. And at the end of the day, these are still my thoughts, right? When I first started using Gen AI, I started using Copilot, ChatGPT, I kind of felt a bit like a cheat, right? And I say that because I view myself as an intellectual person, a very good writer. And so I was kind of have that, almost like that imposter syndrome, right?
No, I want to build on that because there's 2 things you said. One thing you said earlier and the other thing you just said. The thing you said earlier is that you're not a data scientist. No. And a lot of times we'll back off of this stuff because no, I'm not a tech person, I'm not an expert. The whole point is you don't have to be an expert. The second thing is my challenge. My significant other is totally down to use ChatGPT and stuff, and I'm like, yeah, I'm giving her the side eye, yeah, whatever. I'm a professional journalist. I know how to write.
Right.
And I just had a breakthrough. It's not replacing me. It's not replacing my intellect or my skill set.
It's supplementing.
It's supplementing it, and it's about processing. You're right. Writing is processing. The easy part is to actually put the words down on paper. That's correct. It's processing and organizing the thoughts in the way that, oh my God, I just had it. See?
100%.
I just had a breakthrough because
100%.
I would never she knows it. She's here, so she hears me saying, I think I'm a convert. I think I finally got it. Anyway.
But it took a minute.
It took a minute.
Because you kind of feel like, wow, am I shortcutting the process?
Right,
But
right.
absolutely not. Right, I'm taking advantage of how this technology can make my life a lot simpler. Right, and how I communicate with folks. Because when I'm writing emails, I'm pretty strict when it comes to professional writing. I don't believe in writing emails like I would write a message on Facebook, right? I don't abbreviate. I fill everything out, check my spelling. I don't believe in putting spelling errors in emails, right? And so whenever I'm writing an email now, I leverage ChatGPT or leverage Copilot and instruct Copilot to add or to make professional edits to the email, and it'll just update it. Punctuation, the whole 9 yards, right? Versus if I'm in Teams, I'm writing a Teams message informal, and I can literally tell it formal, informal, right? That's the big difference. But it'll expose some people too, right? I've been around enough cats, in business to know how people write. And I've seen people put together documents, and I'm like, that ain't his writing. He didn't write that. Right? That person doesn't use those words. Right? So, at the same time, even though I do use Copilot to do a lot of my editing, if I know that there's language in the document that truly just doesn't personify me, it's not my language, I will edit it out. Right? Because at the end of the day, it still has to feel like it came from me. Right? It came from my brain. You follow me?
Yeah, I don't know how close we are to Q&A for this part of the session. Where are we? 5 minutes? Okay, I want you guys to be ready right now. We got 5 minutes of Q&A. We want to get as many questions as possible in. So who's going to ask the first question?
Question over here.
Oh, we got a person over here. The shorter your questions, the faster you get to your question, the more questions we can get in. Come on, brother. Come on. Don't hesitate now. You got up.
You up now.
What's going on?
Name, company, question.
Easy. My name is Paris Lawrence. I'm a director at United Health Group, and I'm also a PhD student studying generative AI. You talked a lot about the amazing things that generative AI, machine learning, all the things are doing. I would love to know or to hear your thoughts around some of the implications around AI, right? The ethical implications around AI. Specifically, we see black and brown folks sometimes being disproportionately disadvantaged when it comes to AI and how those tools are being used. So I would just love to hear a little bit more about your insight with some of those implications and how y'all are talking about that at Accenture.
Great question.
That is a great question. And so there's another concept that we talk about at Accenture referred to as responsible AI, right? And responsible AI, again, is built upon the notion that, number one, Gen AI literally pulls information from across, I'll call it the metaverse, right? This is anything that's out there, it's going to pull it. It's not always necessarily factual, right? So even though you're asking it to serve up information that you're intending to use, either for work or for a client that you're supporting, you still have a responsibility to make sure that your messages or that the findings, the results, are rooted in fact, right? There's also concerns, obviously, about data privacy, right? There's still data privacy concerns, and I predict that there's going to be even heavier regulation around the use of Gen AI and how we manage it for running our business, right? And the thing is, the data privacy rules will vary based upon geography, right? Like GDPR and stuff like that, right? European rules are different than they are here in North America than they are in Asia, right? So to me, that's the biggest risk that I see.
That's also an important thing to know as a skill set, though. If you can be one of the people that understands, that has an expertise on those types of terms and rules by region, by state, by country, that's another competitive advantage 100%. That should be in your competitive set. I will also say, I will add this, we have a saying, lazy people are dangerous. People who are trying to avoid work in any company, any environment, are dangerous to organizations and families. AI can make a dangerous person super dangerous.
Yes, it can.
Right.
If they're literally like, I don't really have to do this work. I could just run this through here and put it out,
Right.
and I'm done. So it does save time. It does make you more effective, but it's not a substitute for you applying strategy, expertise to your work
That's correct.
and being the professional that you
Intellectual discipline, it does not obviate your responsibility as a professional to make sure that you apply the right discipline to, you still have to be disciplined in anything you put out there.
Yeah.
Right?
Ultimately, if it's wrong, they're not going to fire the tool.
Right.
No, they're going to fire you. They're going to fire, that's right, they're going to fire you, not the tool.
All right. Next question.
I appreciate it.
Hey, thank you to both of you. My name is Jameson Antoine, and I have my question is Mr. Frazier talked earlier about having systems. So I wanted to understand, what is your system for staying ahead of the curve on the technology so you could stay ahead for your clients?
So let's put this in the context of GenAI. There are a lot of tools out there. I can't know them all, right? I focused on the one or two tools that I can get comfortable with, how to leverage those tools, features, functions, attributes. And so, like I said, you can't know them all. Pick one, pick two, and focus build your competence around those tools. Because in essence, they all do the same thing. Some may have a little more feature functions than others, but you can't know them all.
That question
Thank you.
and that answer is the perfect segue to the second half of this presentation. Because that's the thing. There are so many tools.
Yep.
There are new ones being created every day. The ones that exist have new iterations every day. And you can get lost when you really just need to understand what are the things you need for your particular profession, career, and function in the company and in your life. So please, first of all, let's give a great round of applause to Mark Thomas. Excellent job. Thank you, Mark.
No, but
Appreciate it, brother.
thank you for having me, brother.